Hi, I'm Snowy Moogle, and this is my submission for Calithon's Memeathon Strikes Back. And I'll be running Bruhfish for the Legend of Heroes Zero no Kiseki, or Trails from Zero. So I'm just gonna get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So the first thing you're probably wondering is, what is a Bruhfish? So the Bruhfish is supposed to be a fish you can catch anywhere in the game, and it's kind of meant to get in your way of catching those more like rarer, valuable fish. But because of the face the Bruhfish makes, Trails fans kind of fell in love with it, and there was like a little debate about whether or not it was bruhing or pogging, and bruhing basically won out. And we now have this category Bruhfish, where our main objective is to catch the Bruhfish. Now, another thing you're noticing is just how fast the game is going, and that's because this game has a built-in turbo button that when held down makes everything run at 6 times the regular speed. As you can imagine, that speeds us up quite a bit. Now, right here, we are the Special Sports section, which is a new division of the police force. And our goal is kind of just like take odd jobs from the citizens and help them out. And our first job here is to rescue 2 kids who for some reason went to go play in the sewers. Now, with movement here, as you can imagine, with the game running in 6 times the regular speed, it can be pretty hard to avoid enemies. One thing we have to help us is if you attack enemies after they have noticed you, they get stunned for a brief moment, and that gives us like just enough time to run around them. Now we have found the first kid here in the vent, and now we are going to go find his friend as well. And with his friend, we actually have our first mandatory fight of the run. So we're going to line up our characters like this. This game uses a grid-based battle system, and we actually see it used in quite a few of the fights here. Now for the first turn, I'm going to move Lloyd up here, and that'll hopefully bait all the enemies to attack him instead of the kid. And as they all get grouped up, I'm going to move Randy behind him as well. What's really good about them getting grouped up is Tio can attack all of them at once. And for every enemy Tio attacks, she gets 10 CP. And when she gets to 100 CP, she gets access to her S-Craft attack. And what her S-Craft attack does is it does a lot of damage to a lot of enemies at once, and you just need to use it right there. So basically, the goal of that fight is to group up all the enemies. Tio can get a lot of CP in one turn, and when she gets enough CP, she can basically just kill everything. And every character has an S-Craft attack, but Tio is the only character whose regular attack is an AoE that can attack multiple enemies at once. So that's why we mainly use her in that fight to deal the damage there. Now, right here, we're going to call it a day, and just kind of go around and talk to the rest of the crew, and kind of just like ask them why they have joined the Special Sports section as well. We actually get to see a little bit of how like turbo movement like really makes like sections where we're walking around like this a lot more kind of difficult, and I think makes it more interesting. And after talking to Tio here, we're gonna go back outside, talk to the 2 kids we just saved earlier today, and then we get a phone call, and then we head to bed. Now in the morning, we're getting introduced to the support terminal. In a second after the flashback, now we're getting introduced to the support terminal, and this is how people are going to send in their requests for us as the Special Sports section to fulfill. And our first request is kind of just go around and talk to a few people that'll be useful to us. These people are not actually useful to us really in the Bruhfish run here, but we do have to talk to them to progress the story in order to eventually catch the Bruhfish, which luckily is not too far into the story. Now, this is not a part of the quest we have to do right now, but we're going to go out of our way to rest in the inn here. And resting in the inn in this game actually restores 100 CP for every character. And again, having 100 CP, you get access to your S-Craft. And I think I didn't mention about the S-Crafts is you can actually use them whenever you want. It doesn't even have to be your character's turn. So you can have your character attack, and even though it's not their turn right after, you can have them S-Craft right after. The only thing is, S-Craft consumed all of your CP. Oh my god. Turbo movement can be a little difficult sometimes, as you can imagine with this game running in 6 times its intended speed. So now we're going to get a bunch of new support requests. Unfortunately for 2 of those people, we are not actually going to fulfill those requests, because only one of them is required to progress through the story. Again, progressing through the story is important because that is what is going to allow us to catch the Bruhfish. So our second quest here is just going to be going back through these sewers. We're going to head back to the same room as earlier, but instead of ice slimes, we're actually going to fight a giant bat instead. And the strat here is we're going to... Lloyd and Ellie are primarily going to use magic at the start. Oh, I used the wrong S-craft here. So I'm actually just going to attack the two back ones here. Now, normally what is intended, you want to wait for two bats to show up in the front, and then you use Tio's S-craft to get rid of both of them at once and deal damage to the big bat. So this fight's going to be a little bit slower than usual, but we should be okay. And yeah, again, seeing good use of like using S-crafts here. Unfortunately, Randy's gonna die there, so we use a little bit of damage, but we should be okay. The fight should end after Ellie uses a spell here. There we go. So, unfortunate use with the S-crafts there, and Randy dying, but that was still pretty good. Again, the S-crafts were super important there that we could get rid of these small bats. Now, heading out of the sewers here, we're getting a call that there's a little disturbance in downtown, but before we go there, we're actually going to first de-equip Tio's HP Quartz and give it to Lloyd. Now, what Quartz does in this game is it's kind of like materia from Final Fantasy VII, where you can equip it to your characters, and you will get certain stat bonuses and certain access to certain spells as well. And, okay, right here for this fight, we just get, again, using Tio's S-craft, gets rid of all of them at once, which is very nice. But as mentioned earlier, the Quartz gives us access to certain spells and certain stat bonuses. And having Lloyd with a little bit of extra HP there is going to be really useful. In addition, that HP Quartz also gives me access to a healing spell, which, again, will be very useful in a second here. Now, these two rival gangs downtown, they both suspect each other of trying to attack each other. And we're just going to do a little bit of investigating to figure out what exactly is going on with that. And while I'm investigating this second group here, the main guy here, Wald, is going to try to 1v1 Lloyd. Luckily, we don't actually have to kill Wald. He has a lot of HP. So this will be a very difficult fight to actually try and win. But what we're basically just going to do is try to like stall out, and once enough turns go by, the fight will actually just end on its own. And this is the reason we gave Lloyd the HP Quartz earlier, so that he can very easily heal himself, and we don't have to like go out of our way to buy healing items. And he needs to heal himself. And this fight, you actually can't lose this fight, as long as you know the HP thresholds that Lloyd can deal. I believe it is like 217. So as long as Lloyd stays above 217 health, and heals below that, he's always fine. And right as you saw, the fight just ended, we didn't have to kill Wald. And we're getting a little bit of info from the reporter, Grace. She's telling us to come back to the restaurant we love so much. She's going to give us a little bit of info, and we're going to do a little bit more investigating on what is going on between these rival gangs. Of course, but the importance of this is because it progresses the story and allows us to go eventually catch the Bruhfish. And yeah, we're going to talk to Chief Sergei, and then, oh, Stairs can be a little finicky with Turbo. Now, heading over to West Street, we're going to go talk to the one lawyer in all of Crossbell City. And he's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on between these rival gangs. And after this is over, we'll finally be able to bust this case wide open. So we're going to head back to the Special Sports Section headquarters. We're going to sit down and discuss what has been going on. I don't believe I've mentioned it, but the cursor I'm using for this run is the Bruhfish itself, as you can see. And the Geofront team, who did the unofficial localization for this game, they included a bunch of custom cursors with it. And of course, for the Bruhfish run, I'm going to use the Bruhfish cursor. Now, for this fight, we can bring along one of our party members. We're going to bring along Randy, because his S-craft has a large area of effect, and that's going to burn both of these guys. And unfortunately, they're both getting HP ups here. We're basically just going to use magic to get rid of these guys. What's really good about Randy's S-craft, again, the burn, they're going to take, I believe it's between 18 to 24% of their health every time they do an action. And that damage definitely adds up. And you can see, they ended up just dying to the burn right there. And with that, the prologue of this game is over. We have discovered it was the local mafia that was trying to ignite a fire between these two rival gangs downtown. And yeah, with that, the prologue is over. And the prologue being over means we're a little bit closer to catching that Bruhfish. And luckily, we will actually be doing that very shortly into Chapter 1. Now, we're hearing a little bit about these wolf sightings and attacks that have been occurring all across the Crossbell state. Unfortunately for those people, our one goal here is only to catch the Bruhfish. So, that case will have to wait until another day to be solved. Luckily, one of the places we have to investigate for the wolf sightings contains a guy that will give us our lovely fishing rod that we can catch Bruhfish with. That is over in Armorica Village. Now right here, we're going to try to avoid all these enemies on the way. It can be pretty difficult. Funnily enough, this is a lot more difficult in the Bruhfish run as opposed to the regular any percent run of this game. In the any percent run, we'd be a lot higher level, and enemies would actually try to avoid you on the field if you're high enough level. But if an enemy notices us here, we are too low level to have that happen, and they will actually try and chase after us. But luckily, we seem to be able to be getting by all of them. And wow, doing that encounterless in the Bruhfish category is actually, like, not that easy. Kind of depends on where the enemies spawn as well. All the enemies will kind of, like, patrol a certain radius, but where they spawn when you enter the map is random. And, of course, it can be pretty hard to keep track of them when you are running at the game at 6 times speed. So, right here, in Armorica Village, where one of the wolf attacks was, we basically just have to go around and talk to a bunch of specific NPCs. Luckily, one of those NPCs is the best NPC in this game, because he's a fisherman that's going to give us the required fishing rod and bait in order to catch the Bruhfish. But before we go head back to Crossbell City, where we are going to catch Bruhfish, there's a few more people we have to talk to. We're going to talk to Traveling Merchant Harold in here. And with that, we have talked to everyone we need to talk to in order to leave the city, or leave the village here. And now that we're back, we are finally going to catch the Bruhfish. So we're heading over to the Harbor District, and we're basically gonna just hope RNG gives us the Bruhfish. And nope, I don't want the eel. Nope, don't want that one either. It is just completely RNG depending on which what fish we get. I don't know what the actual odds are, but it can be a little annoying sometimes. Then this fish is intended to be the one that gets it. Oh, it is intended to be the one that gets in your way, in the way of like the other rare fish. There we go. Oh, that is time. So we have caught the gluttonous bass, or the Bruhfish. We can see, just like on the cursor, we have caught the amazing Bruhfish. So thank you so much for watching to this. Thank you so much for watching this to the end. I hope it was fun to watch, and have a wonderful rest of your day.